What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. And we're back here for another one. And tonight I'm joined by the homie Martin to get us kicked off. How you doing tonight, brother? How's everything going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Fins up, everybody.
We got actually surprisingly quite some. We got about like a good 4 topics to talk about here. Well, 5 actually, and then we're gonna open it up to you guys for a little bit. Um, Brother, I know you saw Nick Hicks was on Tobin and Leroy today,
Mm-hmm.
as was
Mm-hmm.
Darius Butler. What did you I watched the Nick Hicks thing.
Mm-hmm.
It clearly wasn't as in depth as my conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think about Nick Hicks today? The one interesting point that I saw that I found was when he was talking about the dumbbells and how
Yeah, yeah.
Tua couldn't even lift like what was it, a 15, 20 pound down? What did he say, like 35 pounds or something like that? And
Yeah, I think
now he's
so.
up there lifting like 85 pounds in one arm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What a beast!
I remember exactly what you're talking about, right? And let me just say this as far as my experience, as playing from high school to college, and things like that. When it comes to that training regimen, pre, before the season, summertime, and just getting your body right. He mentions that Tua never really had that type of training regimen from the waist up. Like he was
Mhm.
always, a stud and a monster from the waist down as far as his legs and his power, but from the waist up, whether it be his trainers or his coaches, they never really paid too much attention to that upper body strength. That's actually one of the key sources of just consistent rotation and just overall strength and confidence. Um, if you don't lift weights from the waist up, like how Tua like clearly wasn't that guy, but how Nick was explaining, that is one of those issues where you're saying to yourself, how in the world, does this kid play so well and he's not even used to being in that type of physical, shape, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Nick Higgs basically said, this is his first off season where he worked on himself, you know what I mean? And that's scary to me because I can recall me not being quite in shape. I never really quite taken the off season training as seriously as other guys would have. And when I started taking it seriously, I can seriously see how much better I was. I was like, man, okay, so this isn't a joke. If you work hard, you might be, you kind of increase like as far as the natural ability that you're born with versus when you actually work on it. So for him to say like Tua never worked on himself from the waist up as far as his real strength, that means this kid's coming out now, almost like a super saiyan, let's get it now, you know what I mean? So this whole confidence thing is not a surprise to me. Like when it comes to how people are talking about Tua now.
Yeah, like even go back to high school. I was in the gym a little bit. Like obviously, we had our own facilities in the high school. I would also go to the Y. I'd work out for about an hour, and then I'd
Mm-hmm.
go and I'd shoot around. I'd shoot ball
Mm-hmm.
with me and my buddies. We could play pickup and stuff like that. Um, and then when we got to college, same thing. I would play a little. I would do cardio. My cardio was basically pick up games of basketball. I was that
Right,
kind of
right.
lazy guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I would work out, but like I was never a buff. You know what I mean? Like I was never just like, oh, I got to get jacked.
Like a workout warrior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was never
Yeah.
like that. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like up until I got diagnosed with what I have going on in my neck and my
Mm-hmm.
spine, um, albeit from contact sports, a la hockey and football,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, like when me and my wife, when we started dating and before we got married, like I was always doing uh CrossFit and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going out there and trying to like, you deadlift in CrossFit, but you're not out there like benching like 400 pounds. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing anything like that. You know what I mean? And even when I got out of, um, when I got out of college and was just doing what I was doing with my boys, still, pickup games, man. I got some stories of like, pickup games at like 1 a.m. because we got in my city, we got a basketball net at a basketball court, an outdoor basketball court in my city that's like fully lit up all night.
Oh
Like
wow.
you don't even got to bring the headlights out. And we'd have like pickup games at like midnight, 1 a.m., all that kind of jazz. So
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
so like that was always my cardio. Like I wasn't even a treadmill guy, bro. My
Mm.
cardio was like pick up basketball. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's because I played basketball ever since I was like a young kid. Da, 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 da. But I never
Mm-hmm.
took it seriously like I took baseball or football or
Right.
hockey. I
Right.
always had fun with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like so I was never, and that's what it seems like Tua is kind of becoming. You know what I mean? It kind of seems like he never took it like, you know,
The off season training, bro.
yeah,
Like
he never took it like fully serious, but now it kind of seems like he's turning into a bit of a gym rat, may I say?
mm, which is bro. I'm telling you this, man. And obviously, they say hindsight's 2020. If I knew then what I know now, being a gym rat literally is, and I just mentioned it earlier, is going from Saiyan to Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
That's all that means. That's literally all that means. When you
Bro,
are
I could
in,
I could tell you stories
mm-hmm,
in high school of like, you know, so school would end at 2:40.
mm-hmm,
You got to be on the practice field by 3:15. Okay?
mm-hmm,
I had one of my best friends lived across the street. Okay?
mm-hmm,
I would go across the street, do my thing, and then come back and go to practice.
mm-hmm.
And it was just because of, my ability, you know what I mean? I wasn't sitting there being like, "Oh, like you take it for granted, bro." You
True.
really, and then when you get to a certain level, you kind of have to become that workout warrior to a sense, bro.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
And that's actually one of the more amazing parts about how Nick Hicks is kind of, letting everybody know Tua has taken on that mindset of I'm going to be the hardest worker
In the
on the
room.
team. Because what Warren Moon, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time,
Peace.
even outside of his ability, just who he was as a leader, as a man, as a person of real integrity on and off the field,
Bro,
in the
that guy
locker
went
room.
through it. He scratched and clawed for everything he got,
Every
bro.
single thing he got
CFL,
in
baby.
NFL. He
CFL.
started in Canada, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
he always mentioned, whether it be a quarterback documentary that I can recall, he mentioned if the quarterback is not the hardest working guy in the room, if he's not the first one in and the last one to leave, you have real leadership problems, right? So
Mhm.
for Tua to take on this role, because he's not going to talk you to death. You know what I mean? Tua is not he's not too inspirational verbally, but he's definitely inspirational spiritually and through his, what let me show you something type of situation. So for him to take on that burden of being the hardest worker on the team, pretty much as far as what we're hearing, bro, you're talking about gaining respect, and also he's going to genuinely, just by osmosis, get better, and a better Tua. Like we seen Tua in Alabama, like when he's at his best. If we're getting anything remotely close to the 2017 to a 2018 to a 2019 to a pre the hip injury, if we're getting that type of to it, but intensified because now he took that preseason workout regimen to that next level, bro. We're talking about potentially one of those leaps to where, yeah, everybody's gonna say, yeah, Tua is gonna be real good this year versus what he was last year, but now it's really on, into his hands as far as let's see how he responds. But I love the fact that he's taking on this role
bro.
as the head dog, in the locker room.
And I need him and that offensive line to come together like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, bro. All right.
Go fusion on the
I'm going GT, bro. I'm going GT
fusion.
out here. Yeah. Dance.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the best, bro. Um, that'd be
Oh man.
that's an idea for anyone listening. Hey, if you want to be a super fan, bro, we
Hmm.
need like a Super Saiyan Dolphin Goku and Super Saiyan Dolphin Vegeta.
Oh boy.
And then do the fusion dance and then have a boy pop in the frame as a Super Saiyan 4 Dolphin Gogeta. There you go.
Oh man, that was a
That'd be
hard
it.
character too, bro. I like
Bro,
that.
people sleep on GT, bro.
Not
People
me.
sleep on GT, bro.
Loved it.
Yo, man, I loved it. Yo, baby and Shenron were some of my favorite villains, bro.
Mm.
In the whole in all of Dragon Ball. Anyways,
Mm. Mm.
um so we're speaking about this, and we got 217 in the room. Shout out to all of you. Smash that like button, subscribe if you'd like to donate. PayPal.me/Phinside. If you'd like to become a Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. That's also how you can become a mod of this channel. And if you would like to use those emojis and have a badge next to your name, hit that join button right below, right next to the subscribe button. And there's different tiers you can join. On top of all that, please, guys, help support Russell Voris during this hard time. We're getting closer and closer to the goal of $10,000. He tragically lost his son on Father's Day,
Mm.
and that GoFundMe, there's that link right there. And guys, that GoFundMe is to help cover the costs of his poor child's funeral and burial, because it's expensive nowadays, guys. So it's for a good cause. Please, I've
Mm.
seen so many from the community already donate. And I
Mm.
appreciate each and every one of you that have given to Russell during this hard time. Thank you so much for everyone coming together and showing some love.
Hey, we love you, Russell.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Mm.
So we're talking about Tua here, and as people could tell by the title of the video, bro, there was an interesting article released by Barry Jackson, bro, and we're gonna go over it here. There's a couple tidbits in it, and we'll top right into it. So, to start, he talks a whole bunch of stuff about PFF, but I mean, who cares about PFF? Let's get into the actual notes that he put in here, because he has some good stuff here, bro. So first of all, he believes we hear the Dolphins believe Robert Hunt, who is moving from right tackle, can be a Pro Bowl right guard. Now we've talked about that. That's actually what I said. I said when we drafted him, I said he could be a Pro Bowl guard, all pro.
And man,
So
Kinley.
yeah, for sure. Yep. And then okay, so here's the interesting here. Okay, a couple things that we're hearing. The Dolphins have been very happy with how receiver Albert Wilson looked in the offseason program, and are even using him some outside, because Jalen Waddle projects as their top slot receiver. So what do you think about that, Martin? Because Albert's primarily been on the inside for the majority of his career in the slot.
Yes.
What do you think about now that he's getting boundary reps, because they're so impressed with how he's playing?
It's a double-edged sword as far as the good, the bad of it. Um, it I'm never really too comfortable of seeing a guy playing out of position, so to speak. However, if Jalen Waddle is head and shoulders just the better player, right?
In the
And they
slot?
they want to and they just want to get as many of the better players at receiver on the field at the same time. I mean, it just makes more sense. Okay, if we want that NASCAR formation, like I was saying, like a 13
Mhm.
or is it 13 personnel or a 31 where it's three wide receivers and one tight end is
Um,
I might got the numbers backwards, but um
it's 11-man personnel.
11. I'm sorry about that.
One
11,
running
right?
back, one tight end,
Yes,
your five offensive linemen, your quarterback,
and
right?
then
That
three
takes you to eight,
receivers.
and then three receivers. Yeah.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah, so the 11-man personnel, um, let's say they want to do a NASCAR where they have, um, Wilson, Fuller, and Waddle on the field at the same time. Who do you want in the boundary versus slot as of right now? I would prefer the veteran on the boundary just because he knows the nuances of positioning, the hashes versus the numbers on the NFL field is a little different from a college field.
And
So
Albert's such a good route runner too, bro.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, just naturally, who would you want out there? They just put one and two together and they say, okay, Wilson get some boundary reps because we need this kid at slot right now. So
And then Fuller
um,
on the other side. Oh boy.
that's what I mean.
Ooh.
It's getting to that point in time where they're literally playing with all types of combinations. And if Waddle is that guy for real, I think Waddle is going to get boundary reps sooner than later as well. If they're still flirting around with, okay, we're going to keep Albert Wilson. Albert Wilson's primary position is the slot, and it's best to, if he's going to split out wide sometimes, let's make it a good percentage, 60-40, right? So it's one thing to say, Albert Wilson's taking reps on the boundary. It's another thing to say he's taking reps outside of the slot just in case that NASCAR receiver formation comes to play. So
Yeah.
it's a good win-win situation.
Slim Pickens gives a $5 super sticker. A shout out to you, Slim. Marino's goat $5 said Tua can come out looking like Captain America before he took the juice, and I'll still believe in him 110%. That's hilarious.
Salute.
Here's the other thing too, bro.
Mhm.
This is automatically going to take reps away from guys like Devontae Parker and Preston. No.
I believe so, and rightfully so, to be honest. Um, Devontae Parker and Preston Williams have been relied upon, as far as investing time and preparation of game plans with those guys, and unfortunately, we've just come up short as far as reliability, availability. It just hasn't really showed up these last couple of years. So, it's just putting one and two together, having common sense. These guys cannot finish a football season, and because that's the case, let's go ahead and start really preparing football game time situations with guys we know will probably be on the field, and let's get those guys those reps just so they can get comfortable of being those main guys, just in case the DVPs and the Captain Prez just don't make it through a full season. I still think those two guys are going to be a main piece in this offense as far as getting out of our minus 20 and then heading into the red zone, so as far as scoring range. I think that's when we're really going to start using size to our advantage. But
Yeah.
from the 25 on our end all the way to the 25, across the midfield towards the 25, we got to
Just
put we
eat.
got to put our speed to work.
Yeah.
So
Just eat up the
um,
chunks, right?
yeah. So I'm with whatever plan that they're putting together as far as more reps to other guys versus the reps that we would have given to a Preston or DVP just based off of track record and just them not being there when we need them. So
Could this hint to you that they might be looking at shopping DVP right now?
it'll suck. It'll suck to shop DVP because in 2019 that was his breakout year. Obviously with Fitz, we didn't really have much to work with that year based off of who was shipped out for the first year with Brian Flores, but DVP stepped up huge that season, and in 2020, not as good of a season, but there were still moments where he was clearly one of those guys that we were excited to have on the team as far as a number one and number two target. So I don't want to risk what can potentially be as far as having like a DVP, Preston, Waddle, Fuller, Jasicki. That receiving core just sounds like something that can potentially be a top two, top three receiving core.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, so if we were to lose out on the DVP, if we were to trade him, and for whether it be draft picks or what have you, Preston Williams is legitimate, the prototype of DVP. And I forgot who mentioned it, but he's DVP with more potential, like as far as a higher ceiling, and just more overall ability. You know what I mean? As far as being a pro wide receiver, I love DVP's ability to jump over guys and make tough contested catches. But Preston Williams, he provides the pretty much the exact same features at wide receiver. So I wouldn't be surprised if we were to trade DVP and just move on with Preston as that type of receiver.
So Brian XCS donates $5 and he says, with roster cuts looming from different teams post training camp, what's DVP's true trade value? I don't think you're gonna like what I'm gonna say. I think it's like a 4th rounder, bro.
I think
don't
so
know.
too.
I don't know if you're getting a 3rd or a 2nd for DVP right now.
I doubt we'll get a 3rd. If we can, that'll be awesome. If we can
That'd be
just
amazing.
fleece like that. But just based off of his production, how long he's been in the league, I
Makes
don't.
more sense, eh?
Yeah, for a 4th rounder, 5th rounder, it just seems like the more logical aim for what Miami can get from him. But again, I would still love to have him on this team this year, just because I just see that big 5 that I mentioned. It'll be sick to see those guys play at the same time, man.
Yeah,
I just like that talent on the field at once.
agreed. Here's the interesting part. We were just talking about the man.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a Barry Jackson article. A player insisted to me that teammates were really impressed with Tagovailoa's growth this offseason, and many on the team believe he's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, quite the far cry from Armando's reporting at the end of last season, where players were kind of, in layman's terms, bitching to him about Tua, apparently. And I gotta add, this is where I gotta drop a bombshell for everyone. We got 280 people, 81 people in the room right now, and I want you 85. I want everyone to listen to me very closely of what I'm about to unveil to you guys, because I've been sitting on this for quite some time now. I just haven't had the right time to drop this information, and now I feel like it's the right time to drop this information. So, in talking to someone who is connected to some of the roster, and this is why I think the belief is behind Tua, so this is why I'm going to segue by telling everyone this. From what I've been told, the playbook that Godsey and Stoodsville have cooked up, conjured up, whatever you want to call it, is quote-unquote complicated and confusing. And from what I understand, by asking further questions from this person that told me this, from what I understand, Tua Tagovailoa has been quizzed weekly. And he's passing those quizzes from the coaching staff with flying colors. From what I understand, Tua Tagovailoa is one of the few people that's truly, truly grasping the new offense. I was read play calls. We're talking like some of these play calls. Like, for example, I was read the title of a play call of a sneak. It was 9 words long. Okay, I'm not even joking with you right now.
That's an NFL playbook, bro.
No, not really. Usually it's like 4 or 5 words, bro. Like
This is
we're
worse.
talking like 9 words, bro. I'm not even joking you. And I was right a passing play, and again, it was like 9 words.
Oh man.
And so this is I was told this a few weeks ago. I just haven't really come out and said it yet publicly. I've told a few people privately what I've heard. I think you're one of them too that I told. And so this is where the concern is for me. You notice during minicamp, DVP, when he wasn't making catches, he was getting pulled to the side by Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
Now, you go back to Louisville, okay? In Louisville, they have a very simplified offense, right? We can agree on that?
Yes.
Very, very simplified. Even back when DVP was there, right?
With Teddy B.
Yep. And Tua comes from a little bit more of a complicated offense, though it was being ran in Alabama. Okay? So when I hear and I'm told privately that the new playbook is complicated and confusing to some players, but Tua's grasping it, and then I see Tua when DVP is making drops in minicamp, pulling DVP to the side, and quote unquote, people are saying he's coaching him up. What does that tell you? Because it might tell you the same thing that it's telling me. I want to hear what you think that tells you. Because to me, that tells me DVP isn't fully caught up.
Yeah, potentially. Absolutely.
And what people need to realize is if this is complicated, and apparently it's not just the receivers, bro. Okay. If this is complicated and confusing for people, the issue we have here is people, whether it's offensive linemen, whether it's running backs, whether it's receivers, you might have the tendency of them being in the wrong spot. Now, it's easier for offensive linemen because they really only got to listen to the end of the play call, right? They just got to listen to the end of the play call to figure out how they're blocking. They don't need every word, whereas the receivers and the running backs need to hear every word, right? So, I know this was one of the things that got Chad O'Shea in real hot water.
Yeah.
And you hear what did Flores when he talks about Jalen Waddle? What does he talk about when he talks about Jalen Waddle? He goes on about how he's smart and how he's picking up the playbook, right? My thing is, when you heard DVP and his media availability talk about the playbook, what was he talking about? We're moving around a lot more than we have during my whole time here. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell if you listen to him a little bit, it is more complicated. And this is what got Chad O'Shea sent out of town.
True.
Now, the difference here is it's obviously, how do I put this? How do I word this properly? It's complicated and confusing to some, but clearly it's not alien language if a second-year quarterback is picking it up apparently the quickest in that room. And when I inquired about what the quizzing was, what was implied to me was paper quizzes and whiteboard quizzes. And he's knocking it out of the park.
Know your stuff. Yes.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on this, and because this is where my tie-in here is. Players insisted to me that the teammates were really impressed with Tagovailoa's growth this offseason, and many on this team believe he's going to be really good. So, if that's the impression that's coming out, that the growth in his offense, now and you heard Tua. Now he's more comfortable with the offense. with checks and alerts. He's way more comfortable. He said he could maneuver in with them. He's comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
If others in that offense, and some of them might be veterans, are finding this playbook complicated and confusing, like I was told, yet he's picking it up, that shows growth.
Mm-hmm.
If he's ahead of the curve with the offense of where the playbook's at, clearly they're going to think he's going to be really, really good this year because he's showing he's getting it. It's clicking.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on a player saying that teammates were impressed with Tagovailoa and many on the team believe he's really good? And now that I've made it public, what are your thoughts on what I was told about this playbook being complicated and confusing? Because here's the thing. They could have a lot of Bama installs just with new verbiage, right? That's why he could be picking it up. So I don't know that for sure, but that's why he could be picking it up easier than others too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah. So, a few things. First, I'll mention, when it comes to learning a playbook and kind of figuring your way as far as your niche inside of certain plays and certain in the playbook. My philosophy has always been learn in bits and pieces initially, and try your best to master the simple stuff first. So so when it comes to how I would learn, certain things relatively quick, I would start with passing plays. There's three concepts. There's a no read passing play, like screens or sweep tosses or things like plays where you don't have to read anything on the defense.
Yep.
There's a one read passing play where you just read one defender on the defense, whether it be the cornerback, the flat defender, the safety. And then there's also a progression read concept in certain plays where you have to read
multiple areas
coverages and areas, right? Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So my biggest thing is if we're having issues learning certain things, make it simple. Let's just I'll create like a play pyramid. 3 plays, no read, 2 plays, 1 read, 1 play, a progression read, and master those first 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Master those ones. Do it repeatedly. Keep doing it. Keep doing it until A, you're comfortable with the verbiage, B, you're comfortable with your positioning, and then C, you're comfortable with how well you can execute it in certain situations and things like that. That's extremely important as far as how you learn the playbook, because when other plays get introduced, you're familiar with the language, you're familiar with positioning, you're familiar with why it's being called. But master the first couple first. I would say that as a recommendation if players are saying this is too complicated right now. Number 2, Tua is in a position where quarterbacks have to get tested about certain plays every single week. So if you have a play call where you have 4 wide receivers going out for routes, it's important to see the route concept, and it's important to know which routes are going to be open versus what coverage. So I believe that that's what the tests are for. Which route will be open versus cover 0? Which route would you go to versus middle linebacker delayed blitz? Which route do you go to versus an all-out blitz? Which route do you go to versus cover 3 or cloud 6? That's what the tests are with Tua. Tua is being tested on what to do before the ball is snapped. Now, if people, like how you're saying, had issues with Tua, like Armando mentioned, players were like, well, I'm not sure if we believe in Tua, right? So Tua takes the initiative to go out this offseason and get sharper. Sharper as in mentally with knowing the plays, sharper physically working out. So Tua got sharper. But because Tua got sharper, I don't know if players took that as well, this is going to be my off season to not do anything and not make myself sharper. It kind of feels like these guys, you know, in my opinion, it kind of feels like they need to be doing the same test that Tua is doing, only for their positions. If you're an X receiver, every single play that involves that X receiver, you make that happen. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, I mean, I believe guys need to take on that responsibility just like the quarterback does. The quarterback has to take on the responsibility of knowing exactly what to do every single play. Same thing needs to be said and done with every other position. Offensive linemen need to know exactly where to go, as far as spacing. They need to go. They need to know exactly what to do versus certain checks, certain alerts, certain reads. Nobody is above reproach when it comes to knowing exactly what you're supposed to do before every play. That's the main thing. If you don't know what you're doing when the ball is snapped, that's a disservice for the entire offense, no matter if the ball is coming to you or if it's not. That camera is going to be on you, and you need to know exactly what you're doing so you can help, best benefit the team. But unfortunately, I don't know. I feel as though if we have a situation where guys on the offense are not all on the same page, we are potentially creating another issue, how we had with what's the guy's name, Chad O'Shea. I believe we're creating that situation again, and unfortunately, if that's the case, we're going to be in for a real rude awakening and a tailspin offensively that we don't need right now, considering that Xavien potentially might not be playing the first couple of games of the season, which is exactly where we need him versus these first five opponents. We need to know how to attack teams offensively, and we need to do it at a high level. And if guys are out of position, out of whack, and don't know what they're supposed to do for certain play calls, certain alerts, certain checks, I'm highly concerned with the amount of overall, how are we going to consistently execute these plays. I'm concerned about it, and I would hope that that Tua actually takes it on himself to they're testing Tua. I think Tua needs to be a little bit more aggressive as a leader, and have meetings where you literally put guys to the side, and now it's all about, okay, DVP, Devontae, in this play, what are you expecting versus this coverage, and this, that, and the third. It always needs to be about, let me see let me see what you can do. Let me see what you know. Let me see how well you can execute this at a certain period in time. Unfortunately, I'm only nervous that guys aren't going to take it as seriously as they should, because the pressure won't be on them this season. Clearly, all the pressure and all the attention has been placed on Tua, and some guys might take that as a free pass if you know if things don't work out. And I'm nervous about that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And again, it's I think it's fair to say that offensively, not that people deserve passes, because this is professional football. This is the NFL. It is it's a bottom line business type of a league. Either you produce or you're gone. But considering that we have a new offensive staff, as far as a co-coordinator, we still don't know who's going to be the main the main play caller. We still don't know who's going to be the main guy talking to Tua on the sideline, which is a very important aspect in the game situations. There's still a lot of question marks around this offense, to where growing pains are going to happen. And I hope, yeah, I hope I hope the players take it upon themselves to make sure at the very least that they know all the plays and they're executing at a high level. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still overall I'm still concerned about the lack of continuity as far as knowing the plays. But the hope is that things will get better once the training camp begins, and we'll see. I still believe that we we're a good young team, but my biggest concern will always be communication, because without communication you're bound to stumble, whether it be during a drive or a crucial situational football, 1st and 20 or 3rd and short. You have to be on the same page in order to put yourself in a better position to convert, because this league is not about touchdowns. This league is literally about first downs. And if guys don't know what they're doing out there, you're bound to, have a misstep. So, fingers crossed that these guys get on the same page sooner than later, because we're going to need them.
Yeah, I agree, bro. My question to you though now is it worrisome? Let's hypothetically, we're putting it out there. Hypothetically, it's a guy like DVP, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a concern if it's a guy who's been in the league for 7-8 years and they're having problems picking stuff up? Or is that just because of they haven't been shown a overly complicated and complex offense before?
That can be one of two or two of two. I think obviously tenure in the league is important, and being aware of concepts is important. However, every single offense is like learning a new language. That's what they say, just based off of verbiage, but the concepts are always going to be relatively similar. So if the issue is just learning the language, then that's fine. It's sometimes it takes time to learn the language. However, my biggest thing is you have to learn the language in order to be on the same page as your quarterback. And if they're having those type of issues right now, I'm cool with it. But come, the first week of preseason or the last week of preseason, there has to be some type of recognition by the coordinators first that these guys don't quite get the complexity of the playbook just yet. And I would simplify at the very least the play calls, not necessarily the type of plays, but at the very least the verbiage. Because if the only issue that they're having is the verbiage, just create a scenario where you're calling simple concepts with as far as the wording, but it's still concepts that we can use to attack defenses. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a kick in the nads that would be if some receivers or tight ends who aren't picking it up are the reason why we got to simplify it, eh?
True.
Especially if they're veterans. Brian donates another $5, and he asks if the offense stalls in the preseason going into early into the season. Do you think Flores scraps the 2 offensive coordinator idea? I don't. He won't publicly, but privately, he will give someone he will give people the head up. Like if Godsy's clearly outperforming Stoodsville, privately it's going to be known that Godsy's running the show and Stoodsville is helping him out, but publicly he will not. And I think opposite. If Stoodsville is killing it and Godsy's slacking, Godsy privately will be given a step ahead, while Godsy will, take a step back privately. But I don't think he just doesn't seem like the type of guy that will go public and try and show any weaknesses or any cracks in the or chinks in the armor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of torn because I actually want to see that co-offensive coordinator thing thrive. As far as one guy who knows situational football as a running coordinator versus a guy that knows situational football as a passing coordinator, and just being on that same page, bro. It's actually special when you have like the saying, two heads are better than one. It's
Yeah.
actually special when you can create an environment where both guys are like one guy is calling out like a play during a situation, and the other guy is thinking about something, but then can analyze and assess at that split moment in time, like, you know what, nah, yeah, let's do that, like literally having a back and forth of what's the best play to call for this offense. I want to see that work. Now, if there is a kind of tug of war as far as what play should be called, that's when there could be an issue, and that's when we'll probably start seeing less of one type of style of offense versus another type of style, and obviously Brian Flores stepping in and saying, okay, let's make this a one man show. But I'm rooting for that two-headed monster as a coordinator to actually work and thrive, because again, two heads are always going to be better than one as far as a brain trust.
And just for people that are just getting here, because there's over 305 people in the room, and there was like 280 when we started. Me and Martin are just talking about this little excerpt in the article, but also what I was told privately by someone, that players feel like the new offense, the playbook is complicated and confusing, but Tua is in the forefront and grasping the offense. He's being quizzed weekly. He's passing the quizzes with flying colors, and he's trying to teach all the other players who are having issues catching up. He's the one that's trying to get them caught up. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're just getting here, that's what we're talking about. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep rolling through this article here. And it just finishes it off with the Xavien Howard news. And it says Xavien Howard remains adamant about getting more money. The fact others have received new deals, including Jason Sanders, nothing personal, has made him even more dug in. If he doesn't get a new deal with more money, this could stretch well into August. Now, Darius Butler was also on Tobin and Leroy, and Darius Butler is one of the two. It was him and Antoine Bethea
Mm-hmm.
of the man-to-man pod who interviewed Xavien Howard, what we showed last week. He reaffirmed that he also believed Xavien Howard said that the Byron signing and the and drafting Noah Benogany was a slap in the face, so he confirmed that. He also said, though, that he believes that a new deal is going to get done with X. Now you read this. Jason Sanders getting a new deal. Obviously, Jerome Baker has got to be placed into that. What are your thoughts on him now more dug in because other players are getting deals, and that this could stretch well into August if he doesn't get more money?
I still find it a little strange. Obviously, he earned the right to say he wants a new deal just based off of last year's season, right? That performance was incredible. Probably, arguably robbed of Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
But let's look at the situation right now. 2021, the cap is the cap as far as the amount that we have to employ, right? But come 2022, it increases, and Rhino mentions it, often. Xavien is still under contract through 2024. What's the big deal of playing this year, waiting out that next contract, you know what I mean, and actually getting more than what you would have versus this year where we don't have as much to give. It just and obviously like you're saying, Xavien's dug in on he wants his contract this year. He's seeing Jason Sanders getting paid, Jerome Baker getting paid, Byron Jones last year, huge contract. Cool, but it's almost like I love Cedric the Entertainer, bro. He says, man, tell him I ain't got it, man. Like, just let Xavier know, bro. We don't got it like that right now. Just play your game. Come in, support your teammates. Get ready for the season, and just produce like how you've always been producing, and we will reward you. That's just the nature of where we're at right now as far as 2021. I obviously with the new agent, he has his ways of making it known that he wants his players to get paid when they ask to, or they're out of there, for the most part. But unfortunately, man, this is the nature of the NFL. It's the nature of the business. And, it's unfortunate that Xavier's taking this position because we clearly need our defense to play at a certain level for us to be successful this year. And with him out of that picture, it becomes increasingly difficult to envision that type of a defense. But Flores is going to do exactly what Flores is going to do as far as the betterment of the team. And if that's paying Xavier versus not paying him, he's going to come to that conclusion sooner than later. So there's not much else we can do or say. We just have to do that waiting game right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's hopefully they get it done before training camp.
Let's see.
Figure out that situation before training camp.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting little maintenance note here. Tom Pelissero came out and he said NFL players have until 4 p.m. next Friday, July the 2nd, to inform their team if they're opting out of the 2021 season per source. Higher risk players for COVID, again, are entitled to a $350,000 stipend. Voluntary opt-outs get nothing. Last year, the stipend was $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Only players who executed their contracts prior to October 1st, 2020 are eligible to take the voluntary opt-out. So 2021 rookies aren't eligible. If a higher risk rookie opts out, the club still owns his rights. All opt-out decisions are final. The NFL and NFLPA also agreed to more benefits for fully vaccinated players, including allowing them to collect per game roster bonuses even if they miss a game because of a breakthrough case. And it goes over this memo, the club. So there's next Friday. Anyone who's going to opt out will know by then. Sticking with Tua here for a sec. I don't know if you saw it, but Cam Wolfe dropped a interesting article today, early and bright in the morning. And starts off the critique of Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa came down as heavy as a rain during his 5-interception minicamp practice on June 15th. For those who doubt Tua Tagovailoa, the eye-popping headline provided confirmation that he isn't and never will be good enough to be the franchise quarterback. For those who support Tagovailoa, the tweets and stories that followed the performance led to fear their hope to see a 2-year jump was just wishful thinking. The truth is it's an overreaction to one bad, and yes, that practice was bad, minicamp session that was focused on emphasizing aggression and pushing the ball downfield. It quotes Tua from his media availability and says, obviously you want to be smart, but if there's a time to make mistakes, now is the time. We're trying to see what we can fit in the hole, what we can throw within coverages, come into the film room and learn from it. 5 interceptions is 5 interceptions, but in the headline of talk show driven sports world, context, like I always say, is often the aspect that is missing. So let's add some from firsthand knowledge. Coach Brian Flores told the quarterbacks that this would be an aggression focused practice, and he wanted them to take more chances than normal to work on that specific element. As a result, backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett also threw 2 interceptions in fewer reps. It was a torrential downpour throughout most of the practice that day, weather bad enough that a run-based game plan would likely have been necessary if it were a meaningful game, which we've said. One day later, June 16th, Tagovailoa followed his stinker with a great practice. He didn't throw an interception and threw several touchdowns during a red zone and goal line focused session. Among those highlights were deep completions to Jalen Waddle and Jakeem Grant. That deep Completion to Jalen Waddle was for 50 yards and a touchdown, so not everything was red zone and goal line focused. So as the Dolphins head into their summer break, my biggest takeaway from Tagovailoa spring isn't the camp interceptions or admission that he didn't know the 2020 playbook well. My conclusion is that Tagovailoa has turned introspective, embracing his year one struggles and spending these months trying to correct them, most notably his downfield aggression. This isn't about making excuses for Tagovailoa. He has to be better than 2020, better than last Tuesday. Making excuses for quarterbacks is a straight road to mediocrity. No matter what Florida says about it, being a team-wide pursuit, the brunt of the pressure is on Tagovailoa to lead the Dolphins to the next level. If he frequently performs this season like he did in last Tuesday's practice, there's a good chance he won't finish the year as a Dolphin starter, and Miami will be in the hunt for a new quarterback this offseason. No quarterback has more pressure on him than Tagovailoa this season, and more scrutiny is sure to come. But June minicamp practice interceptions have zero role in that. So it goes on, headed into his second season in 2018. Patrick Mahomes threw 7 interceptions in 6 training camp practices. He was the NFL MVP that season. Twice in his career, Jimmy G has thrown 5 interceptions in one practice, once in 2015 with New England, and once in 2019 with the 49ers when he threw 5 consecutive interceptions. So it's rare and never good. But big interception days happen during camp. It's about not making them a trend. So once the shock of the June 15 practice wore off, I had a prevailing thought on Tagovailoa. Prioritizing aggression in minicamp sessions should be more important than camp interceptions. Tagovailoa might be the NFL's most polarizing young quarterback. His overall popularity and profile before taking an NFL snap gained him a large number of critics as well as supporters. But if we're being honest, Tagovailoa did a good job taking care of the football as a rookie. His biggest on-field problems as a rookie were his hesitancy and ineffectiveness on deep throws. Among quarterbacks who started at least half a season, Tagovailoa had the second lowest QBR on passes of 25 plus yards downfield, second lowest passing yards per game, and third lowest yards per attempt average. Simply put, Tagovailoa was too conservative and didn't maximize his deep opportunities when he didn't take them. I mean, Martin, if you're at 60%, your hip isn't totally there, obviously. Drop passes, lack of separation, and him being an awkward fit for the scheme certainly played a role. But Tagovailoa has and should take notable responsibility here. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but throwing the deep ball was a strength of his in college. His career numbers rank among the best in college football history in passing efficiency, 199.4, which is number 1. Passing yards per attempt, 10.9, which is number 2. Total yards per play, 9.8, which was number 1. Too often a rookie Flores went to Ryan Fitzpatrick late in games because the veteran was more willing to make a big throw down the field. Tagovailoa has proven he can do it. He just has to prioritize aggression. If we see something closer to college Tagovailoa heading into year 2, the Dolphins will be in great shape. Interceptions are never a good sign, but Dolphin fans should want Tagovailoa to use practice to take chances downfield and figure out when to fit the ball into a hole. An aggressive Tagovailoa is a better Tagovailoa. So I even took that article a little bit as an overreaction in a sense. Oh, by the way, Pete, you're crazy if you think Jacoby Brissett will be the starter. Let's put some money down on that, my friend. If you really actually think I'll put $100 down that Jacoby Brissett is not the starter heading into the season. $100 right now.
Unless something major happens, like an injury. But he won't start week 1.
It has to be an injury.
No matter what, he won't start.
Yeah, he won't start week 1. I'll put money down on that. And I even think Cam Wolfe was a little bit like, in no way, shape, or form did he recognize. It goes back to even Nick Hicks today, right? Nick Hicks today, again, on just like he did here on Tobin and Leroy, stressed that just because a player is cleared does not mean they're 100% healthy. That means you are cleared to introduce football activities back into your life.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Again, he stressed Um, again, he stressed that um Tua was not fully healthy. Again, he talked about how weak his hip was. He talked about how he's a shell of himself when he came there. This was again, he stressed the same things he was saying here. Um, and I find it head scratching that Cam Wolfe either A hasn't done his research on the situation and B doesn't mention it.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear why Tua didn't look the way he looked in college. You do not have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out once you piece everything together. Now,
Yes.
Nick Hicks has come out and said Tua is now 100% healthy. So Nick Hicks is even taking away that he's taking away, that context of the situation. That can no longer be used
Mm-hmm.
as reasoning as if we don't see a leap in year 2.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what are your thoughts on what Cam Wolfe had to say in that article?
The article was very interesting to read. I and I will say this: the it kind of feels like why are we consistently talking about Tua um in the mainstream like all the time? Um, how does it happen? Like, because whatever you hear about quarterbacks in the mainstream is normally because of like for instance Aaron Rodgers, he's disgruntled. Deshaun Watson, he's in a bit of a legal issue.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson doesn't believe that the Seahawks are investing enough in the offensive line. He wants out. Like that's when you have a quarterback in the news media, and consistently, doing that, right?
yeah,
But for whatever reason, man, I don't know. I do believe, and this is just my personal belief that they're kind of bullying to it, and I'm one of the biggest anti-bully. I really don't like bullying only because like I understand the potential ramifications of when bullying gets too far, when it gets out of control, right? And it seems almost like a wave, like a trend or something. Everybody wants to talk about Tua. Tua has been under this microscope ever since that national championship game, right? Everything that he does, everything that he says is magnified. And unfortunately, he came into this season not 100% healthy, didn't quite have the grasp of the playbook. There was just a lot of things stacked up against him. And for whatever reason, nobody is consistently reiterating that into context. And reason being because the guy that was drafted immediately after him, and Justin Herbert, had such an awesome season. Not only did he have the best rookie season as a quarterback this year, but arguably one of the best rookie quarterback seasons of all time. Let's be real, just straight off of facts and stats, and he had an excellent season. But because one player has an excellent season as a rookie and one player doesn't have an excellent season as a rookie, does not give you the green light to just completely rid off, this kid. And unfortunately, and not only people that just don't believe in Tua at all, but even people that do feel like Tua can still do it. There's still a kind of double dutching going on as far as should I be all in on Tua or should I just keep my distance? Should I play the middle ground? Like no, like this is a different situation altogether, and unfortunately, just by the reports, guys not getting the verbiage all the way right. It, it's not. This is not going to be. This is going to be one of those situations where um Tua will not get the fair shake. He will not get the Aaron Rodgers don't play until your third year in the league, or Tony Romo, you don't play until your second year in the league, or like he's getting tossed into a situation that he has no real control over as far as people making decisions for him. But Tua is a he has a lot of faith. he has a strong belief in his faith, and he has belief in himself to respond, to situations where the odds are against him. I believe Tua will respond, but the nature of how he'll respond is not going to be um like to the point where we're going to be throwing a grand party for his coming out party. I think it's going to be a solid season. I think he's going to have a really solid season, and there's going to be things outside of his control that won't make it one of the best year two leaps of all time. But essentially, Tua is going to play his part. He's going to do extremely well, in my opinion. But again, this news media, bro, I just get that. I just get that feeling, man, that everybody is just a trend. It's almost like they're bullying this kid at this point in time, and it's weird, man, because there's no other quarterback in the media that's talked about, good, bad, or indifferent, more than Tua Tagovailoa, and I don't think it's necessarily fair, but it's the nature of the business, bro. It's the nature of the game now.
Nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So a couple of the things. Two things actually. PFF had an interesting article, brother, they put out, and it said salary cap situations can change in a hurry in the NFL, as teams have many ways to manipulate player contracts and move money around. Two seemingly opposed idioms apply here. There's always money in the banana stand. The bill always comes due. While a singular snapshot of each NFL's team salary cap situation will never perfectly capture all of the various intricacies of NFL roster management, it is still a fruitful exercise that can teach us a lot about the forecast for each team going forward. We've come up with a 5-pronged approach to analyze each club's salary cap situation as of today and up to the 2023 situation. Below is a table that breaks down how each team stacks up according to each metric, followed by definitions and or explanations for each. So, active draft capital, which they'll explain. Currently, Miami, we're 10th overall. 2021 to 2023 cap space, 143.529.972 million. So it's 12th overall. Prorated money, we're 9th overall at 106,405,572. Top 51 veteran valuation, we are currently 20th with $267,755,443. And then on 2022 UFA valuation, we are currently 21st. So our average ranking is about 14.4. Now, the criteria. Here's the criteria. So the active draft capital. We converted every rookie contract player on each team's roster into their Fitzgerald Spielberger value in the same manner. Timo Risk analyzed each team's 2021 draft capital to weigh the value of each player. For example, Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, the first overall pick, would be worth 3,000 points on the scale. Right? And it says they have the largest draft capital investment on their roster currently. This aims both to capture the value of players like Lawrence who have not yet played on an NFL snap and the total potential for surplus value each team has for rookie contracts. So the NFL rookie weight scale made draft picks more valuable than ever before because not only are you adding quality young talent, but you also realize significant savings as compared to the veteran player market. Thus, there's a clear connection to forward-looking cap space here. Projected effective cap space 2021 to 2023. For 2022, we're using the $208.2 million salary cap ceiling that the NFL and the NFL Players Association agreed upon in June. For 2023, we're using a projected cap of $225 million, while the 2023 cap may be much higher with the influx of revenue from the new TV deals. In addition to sports gambling revenues, the number would still affect all teams the same. So, we use effective cap space to determine future years because not every club has at least 53 players under contract in 2022-2023. The calculation for effective cap space is simple, and while it will not still capture the true future outlook, it provides a solid benchmark to work with in the present. Example, Team X has 45 players under contract in 2022 2022 and $20 million in cap space. The minimum salary for a player in 2022 is $705,000. To field the 53-man roster, Team X must sign 8 more players with cap hits of at least $705,000. So 8 times 705,000 is $5,640,000. Team X really has at most 20 million minus 5.64 million, so 14.36 million in 2022 cap space. Team X therefore has 14.36 in effective 2022 cap space. So the total prorated money, when money is converted into a bonus that prorates over a number of years, most typically signing bonus, it can no longer be manipulated for salary cap purposes. These amounts are truly sunk costs on the salary cap, unlike guaranteed salaries that are effectively sunk cash amounts, but could still be altered from a cap accounting perspective. Teams have to work around the sunk costs even after a player is no longer on the roster when they become referred to as dead cap. The existence of some dead money is fine. If anything, it suggests a club's willingness to spend cash and be more aggressive in the roster construction from time to time. However, a significant amount of dead money will inhibit a team's ability to add talent effectively. The top 51 veteran valuation. This is the total valuation of all players on each club's top 51, excluding 2021 draft picks. This is a snapshot of their current value under the 2021 market conditions, not a forecast of what they would theoretically cost on the open market after the season. To ensure that clubs carry 90-man rosters during the offseason, only the 51 largest caps count against the salary cap. Thus, we've taken each team's current top 51 cap hit players, removed rookies, and calculated the total value. And finally, the 2022 free agency projections. The contract or platform year for a pending unrestricted free agent is undoubtedly the most important year for projecting what they will earn in free agency. Here, we are not attempting to forecast the 2021 performance of pending 2022 free agents and then calculate a valuation for that player. Thus, these values are certainly subject to change. However, we also often do have a relatively strong understanding of a player's value before their final season on the current contract. For example, quarterback Dak Prescott and New York Giants wide receiver Kenny Golladay missed the majority of the 2020 season and still signed the largest free agent contracts at their respective positions this offseason. On the other hand, we are predicting the growth in position markets from year to year and inflating our contract projections in accordance with these rough expectations. So when we fast forward to Miami here, the Miami Dolphins are, I believe they're ranked. So they're ranked 12th. Arguably, no one had a more eventful offseason than the Miami Dolphins, starting with the surprise release of Kyle Van Noy. The Dolphins then traded edge defender Shaq Lawson to the Texans in exchange for Bernardrick McKinney and traded left guard Eric Flowers back to the Washington football team. Come draft time, Miami was wheeling and dealing before selections began. All told, the Dolphins have an extra 2023 first-round pick from San Fran in the trade for quarterback Trey Lance. Miami is coming out the other side of a rebuild. Now it's time for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa to get them over the proverbial hump and back into the playoffs for the first time. So the key number here that stands out to me, right, is the 2021 to 2023 effective cap space. Over the next, 3 off seasons, we're expected to have about 143.529 million in cap space. So that's a lot of money. I mean, you got to think about it too. If you have that much cap space and you were signing guys to 5-year contracts, that number's going to inflate. Like the Jets, bro, from 2021 to 2023, they have effective cap space projected of 228.96 million. So Pittsburgh's number one with 23.1342 million. So you got to think you almost add at least like another 150, $200 million onto those numbers if you're giving out 5-year contracts, right? So, I mean, that, the Dolphins could have theoretically about $290 million to spend in over a 5-year span. So it's going to be to continue to build and extend players in-house like Ogba and Gesicki are going to be doable when you take that into projection, right? So
Yes.
that's why I wanted to show that to people. And then finally here, an interesting tidbit. Bleacher Report, they put out an article, and it was about Mitchell Schwartz, bro. And
Mm,
they had us as a top potential landing spot.
mm,
And they said the Miami Dolphins, mountain of words have been written about Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's prospects in the second season. Breakouts have been predicted. Mistakes on the practice field have been scrutinized into oblivion. The Dolphins did a fine job of improving the weapons around him with Will Fuller and rookie Jalen Waddle, but there's an elephant in the room. The offensive line in front of Tagovailoa is rather terrible. Miami allowed 34 sacks in 2020 and sported the league's fifth worst line per PFF. In that site's opinion, the 2021 iteration of that line is worse as it sits at 30th. The Dolphins started a pair of rookies at tackle last year. First rounder Austin Jackson gave up 4 sacks, committed 5 penalties, both tied for 19th in the league in just under 850 snaps, which is 41st. While second rounder Robert Hunt allowed 3 sacks and committed 8 penalties in 722 snaps. And the 3 sacks and 8 penalties was 7th worst, and the 722 snaps was only 49th in the league.
mm,
Finances would be tricky. Miami only has 5.3 in cap space, and it's possible Hunt's play will improve in the second season, but he could just as easily regress. And a young Dolphins line could use the veteran stability Schwartz would bring, especially when you consider that Tagovailoa is left-handed, so Schwartz would be guarding his blind side. If
mm-hmm,
Miami is serious about the playoff, the team needs to get serious about Mitchell Schwartz.
mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on adding a veteran to this room like Mitchell Schwartz?
I really like Mitchell Schwartz. I think Mitchell Schwartz was drafted by was he drafted by the Saint or the Cleveland Browns, right? And then he was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. Out of Cal. Mitchell Schwartz is all
Lost you, buddy.
you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, sorry about that. So yeah, Mitchell Schwartz is a guy that I would really like on this roster, primarily because Liam Eichenberg, I still have my reservations about him as far as making that switch legitimately to right tackle. I still believe that Liam Eichenberg needs to sit, if that makes a lot of sense. I think it'll serve him best to sit behind a veteran offensive tackle, whether it be Jesse Davis or if we can bring in a Mitchell Schwartz, that'll be incredible. I think he really needs to learn the nuances of the right tackle, because left tackle versus right tackle, it's literally, like they say, yin and yang, night and day.
Yeah.
He has to begin the process of using or getting used to using one side of his brain versus the other side as far as what's coming at him. Um, I would love for a Mitchell Schwartz to be on this team because it adds another veteran piece. Um, our offensive line is still relatively young because we're gonna more than likely start 3 second-year players, and we have a guy in Matt Skura that's trying to regain himself as far as confidence and interior play. It would be best to have our blind side as our most solid piece. And I just don't see Liam Eichenberg being that piece now. I see that. I see it coming down the road if we were to make a 1-year deal with Mitchell Schwartz. I would like to see that. Just to see Liam Eichenberg gradually get put into that situation where he's just ready for anything that comes at him instead of being forced into it. So if Mitchell Schwartz is a target, and which he can potentially be since he's still on the market for whatever reason, I would love for the Dolphins to take a swing at him and see if we can use that type of ability as far as veteran presence and overall play. I want to see a Mitchell Schwartz on this team if we have that room for him.
Let me ask you this: are you worried by Liam Eichenberg's arms that he might end up being a guard?
I'm not worried about his size. He plays like how we always said, he plays the tackle position at a solid level, high floor, low ceiling, and because that's the case, I have no real concerns about his natural size and things like that. Everything is going to be about technique in the NFL for Liam Eichenberg, and
Mhm.
because that's the case, I believe he needs to sit. He needs to learn as far as preparation. He needs to watch a guy do it, just for that, just learning by watching. Obviously, nothing's a better teacher than actually being out there. But in Liam's case, I do believe he's a visual learner as well. I just see him benefiting more if we have a guy in front of him, just to be that mirror image of what he should be, or what he could potentially be better than once he gets in. So I still like Liam, but I like a veteran more so as of this moment right now, because Tua needs protection this year. This is an important year for Tua, and I want us to give him the best opportunity, especially in protection.
I don't think I've asked you this. How
Hmm.
comfortable are you with our offensive line heading into the season?
Um, not as comfortable as the 2016 offensive line. If that makes
Yeah, the
some
top of the
sense.
line.
Yeah,
Brandon
that
Albert,
offensive line.
Tunsil, Pouncey.
There was no doubt in my mind when I saw that lineup. I was like, okay, this is an offensive line. Like I just kept saying that to myself over and over and over again. Like, wow, we got guys now. But there was also that reservation of how long will this last? In this case, from left tackle to right tackle, I just don't. I don't have that same feeling. Austin Jackson, I don't have that same feeling as I had with the Brandon Albert. Solomon Kinley, not the same feeling like a Lermy Tunsil. Matt Skura, not the same feeling as a Mike Pouncey, et cetera, et cetera. So no, I'm not as confident in this offensive line as I was like when I saw the 2016 offensive line. But I'm still confident that these guys are going to figure out how to play well with each other. And I don't need or necessarily want the 2016 offensive line as far as just stellar offensive line play, because I think they all just need to grow as a complete offensive unit. But I do need them to be on the same page. I need them to communicate well. I need them to at the very least, play well together. And if the case is that these guys are going to be, you know, super young, super early, I don't have my expectations as a top 10, top 15 offensive line this year. Moving forward, maybe, but right now, they're just going to be one of those quietly solid offensive line units throughout the season if things go well for them.
You know my buddy Ryan Roberts, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not only is he a scout, but he's also a huge Notre Dame fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, "What do you think Eichenberg's ceiling is, and you think he'll transition to right tackle effectively?" He said, "I think Riley Reef is his ceiling. Very solid, never spectacular, a
Mm-hmm.
player you forget about in a good way." Um, he said he doesn't see a problem with him transitioning to right tackle. He said he's a technically sound kid. He'll always struggle a bit against speed, short arms, and just a solid athlete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's he's also a Notre Dame fan. He's a huge Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, bro. I just think we're in a position where so much offensively is riding on second year leaps, not just Tua.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Gaskin, his second year leap as a starter.
I was just thinking that.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Austin Jackson, Um, Obviously Robert Hunt, Solomon Kinley, and then on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, you're hoping on the leap of a rookie in Liam Eichenberg.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it's just a lot to ask, bro. And I truly believe
Exactly.
this offensive line will only go as far. Our offense will only go as far as this offensive line takes them, and
Mm.
that's really worrisome to me. Like, I just, you look at the odds, bro. Like whether you play
Yeah.
lottery, whether you play whatever, the odds are, just speaking on the offensive line, not all of Kinley's, Jackson, and
Hunt.
Hunt
Mm-hmm.
are going to take equal, and the key word is equal, significant jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just, the odds are like, think of it. If those three guys all take a significant leap and Tua takes a significant leap, Chris Greer and them better play the lottery, because
Mm.
like it just usually doesn't happen like that, bro.
True. True.
Like
True.
one or two guys are usually a little behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so much is weighing on that.
Yeah.
And
And
it's a scary thought, bro. It really is.
if I'm gonna be all the way transparent as far as why I have my reservations of this line being in the position to take that leap collectively. One of the, and obviously this is not clearly a fair comparison as far as offensive line versus offensive line, but I can just recall when the Dallas Cowboys put together that line full of first round talent, right? Teron Smith, um, I think it was like Doug Free at left guard, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins, right?
Studs.
And I
And you remember how they
all of
got
them.
Lyle? You remember how they got Lyle Collins too,
Yeah, man. Lyle Collins was supposed to come to Miami. If people,
bro?
if people forget
Yeah, I
about
remember
that,
that, bro.
they're
Oh, I
they're
wanted him
recruiting him
so
as an
bad.
undrafted free agent, but it didn't
Yeah,
happen. But essentially, the reason why that offensive line was so good so early, um, I never saw Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, even Travis Frederick. They didn't play around too much, bro. Like they weren't necessarily having like fun. Not saying fun as in fun playing the game. I mean, they took a business like approach to football, bro. Like every single practice, every single game, these guys were locked in. They were zoned in. And when I look at our offensive line, Austin Jackson, Solomon Kinley, Robert Hunt, these guys like to have fun. They like to dance. They like to high five each other. They beat their chest. They're very outgoing in that sense. And my biggest thing is if your offensive line is young, I prefer I truly me personally I prefer offensive line that at the very least has high leadership qualities as far as just maintaining poise and discipline and having that insatiable urge to be serious, mastering your craft every single day. I don't know if I've seen that from this offensive line, and that's no fault of these guys. I'm just saying straight up, I have not seen that type of maturity in this offensive line that I clearly saw in the Cowboys' young offensive line. And I'm like, damn. Uh, if we're relying on our offensive line to like you're saying, our offense goes the way the offensive line goes. Our success is predicated on how well and how quickly they can gel and make things happen as far as cohesiveness and just playing. I, Leadership is a high quality. Leadership, I believe, is needed for that to actually materialize. And um, I, no offense to those guys, they're still young too, but they don't have that leadership I usually see out of top young offensive linemen. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, man, because that, like we keep saying, everything for whatever reason, and we can put the media on this too, is gonna fall onto his shoulder. And I'm just glad Tua is mature. I'm glad he is the example of what you ought to aim for as a professional athlete in your locker room. I'm glad he's there, and I hope these guys, the light bulb turns on for them and the switches flip, because this season is coming, bro. Like, this season is there is no ducking and hiding from this. The season's coming, and we have to be ready from game one. The first 5 weeks of this season is, part of my language, a motherfucker, and we have to play. If not at a high level, we have to be very consistent on both sides of the football, just to maintain that fourth quarter last push to get some of these wins out of the way early. So, the offensive line, bro, like how you're saying, it is what it is, bro. We have to have that. So,
yeah. All right, man. I know you got to get out of here.
yeah.
I'm gonna get out of here too, actually, with you.
Mhm.
So we'll keep it nice and short tonight, and I'll be back
Mhm.
Friday night. If something breaks tomorrow, I'll be back, but I'll be
Mhm.
back at least to Friday night, the latest.
Mhm.
Because I got to record the finish line. So if I am back tomorrow night, it'll be after 9:15.
Yeah.
And then that'll be predicated on if something breaks. So,
Mhm.
your final thoughts, buddy, before we get out of here.
Final thoughts. I'm glad to see that that more players are starting to come out and defend Tua, because like I said before during this podcast, it seems like the mainstream media is catching this wave, is catching a trend of talking about Tua, and not so much a positive light, which is it by in my estimation, bullying Tua. And I don't like to use the word bullying too often, because like I said, it's a trigger word, for a lot of people. But I just see a bullying aspect in how Tua is being presented. And again, when you have support in house,
Mhm.
you can easily block out everything else. Like, when you got guys consistently every single day, seeing you, riding for you, supporting you, you can easily create a whole atmosphere in your mind that you're gonna positively, see things in a positive light. And then once you're that positive, when it comes playtime, you're ready to play at a high level. I think that's the best part about this, that he has guys in the locker room that have his back regardless. And trust me, man, now like how we're saying, the ball's into his court, and I just see him. I just see him, coming through. I see him coming through in a major way. Obviously, the huge leap as far as year two, I don't see the huge leap come year two, but I do see a significant leap where he's gonna win more games for us than the defense will, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
So I see that happening for two, and I just hope that these guys get it together offensively, get on the same page, get in their playbooks,
Yeah.
study, test themselves, so they can be at the same level, if not a high level, with Tua, as far as expectations of execution.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Guys, if you're new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're just over 700 away from 5,000, so let's get there before the season starts. If you'd like to
Mm-hmm.
donate to the channel, paypal.me/Phinside. You can also use the super chat. Become a Phinside the NFL patron, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. As usual, shout out to each and every one of my patrons, all 39 of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Rhino Sith, Fake Spike 94, K all day, Ramon Casillas, Seslin Pickens, Ricketic, Red Dino, Marino's Goat, your boy Trav, Josh, Martin, the homie up here right now, Jazz 803, Zo Vegas, Arkham Elf, Irving, Drew Boo, The Show, Jawar Thompson, Jeff Jackson, Mighty Dolphin, Ben Glassford, Andre Villarreal, J Love T, Todd, haven't seen you in a while. Todd, hope you're doing well. Same with you, J Love, haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you're well. The Enigmatic Man, Chalk Vanilla Straw, Georgie Boy, Florida born, Kentucky grown, Michael Rodriguez, Dennis Klassen, Philip LeDuc, Tommy Flores, Ron Levy, Marino Ron, Anthony J. Marine, Brent Potvin, Joe Crotwell, and the homie Rhonda. Appreciate each and every one of you. As for the 88 members of the channel, shout out to all of you. You can go hit that join button right next to the subscribe button. You'll get a badge next to your name, and you'll get access to all the emojis. And I'll be introducing some new emojis in the next few weeks here. Damian D, Sam F. Fins1, Seth, Drew Boo, Twizzle, Law 10442, Timothy Whiteman, Yawa Bulla, Bruce 1, Foxing Around, Dr. Draft, Timothy Saponenza, Nico, Mighty Dolphin, Dolphin Sweden, Fake Spike 94, Jazz 803, Luke Sparkman, D Ray 91, the homie Tilly, Flips, Marcus 84, Ty Rhodes, Florida born, Kentucky grown, SC 42, Corn 72, Cody Patron, the show, Jonesy Fins Nation, Kevin Williams, Rhonda, Philip Leduc, Zachary Harris, Dennis Klassen, Powerhouse TJ, Daniel Gallegos, Thunder Cleus, Birdman, 100 Ante, Ramon Casillas, Marino's Goat, Michael Simmons, Ron Levy, Chad, Tony Marine, Canadian Fin Gone Wild, BK Today, Barry Bailey, DC, Tyler Collins, Richmond Webb, Cap for Life, Furious, KL Day, Go to Valoa, Bleezy, Rhino Sith, Irving Figura, Justo, Julian, Scorpion King, Vince for Life, Chef Jew, Ty Jenkins, Rob Martin, Tony Yasawa, Wa 01, Innes Campbell, Mari, Fred Rivera, Justin Dunker, Cash, Zanny Jinzo, your boy Trev, Caddyshack, Vince Forever, 72, Storm Warrior, Jeremiah Kelly, Derek Huggins, Ricketic, Lefty, Magic Sosa, Darnell Kump, Canup, Big Time, Wayne Hedgeman, Soapo, Quint Riddle, and Jose Valdez. Appreciate each and every one of you. My Raekwon Davis film study is coming soon too, guys. So be out on the lookout for that. I'm actually probably going to drop that on the Patreon and to members only first, and then I'll make it public after a day or two for everyone to see it. And then after that, I'll break down all of Xavien Howard's 10 interceptions, and I'll do the same thing. I'll drop it to the Patrons and the members first, and then I'll make it public to you guys. All right. So we'll be back Friday night. If something breaks tomorrow, I'll be back. And until next time, stay safe, everyone. Stay happy, healthy, and safe, and stay blessed. Love you all. Fins up all day, every day, baby.